So I've been seeing the question, how does the base model Corvette C8 with absolutely no options compare to the very full to the hilt, every option checked Corvette? Well, for starters, the fully loaded Corvette can cost almost twice as much as the base. Yeah, you heard me right, the Corvette C8 bases at $59,995, but you can fully spec one out for $110,000 on Chevrolet's website. So just a small addition of $50,000 in options, no biggie. But in all seriousness, Chevrolet has stepped up their game in options for the C8. Unfortunately, that means that you will in all likelihood shell out even more money than what you were expecting to. I mean, I was fully intending to build my own Corvette C8 out for less than 80 grand, but here I sit with an order in for 85,000. And I even skipped on a lot of the carbon fiber bits that I was wanting. Luckily, a lot of that can be added later, but my point being is Chevrolet knows exactly what they're doing, and so I want to ask the question, as a consumer, are you getting compensated for the $50,000 in options if you were to fully spec one out? In my opinion, the answer is yes and no, because while some options are worth it, I would argue that others probably are not. But here's the thing, each one of us is different. Where I don't see value in an option, some other person might have it on their must-have list. But for the sake of today's video, let's try to break down just how good the sub $60,000 C8 is to the elegant yet ridiculously expensive sibling for $110K. Before I go any further, this will be a longer video, and it's purely for fun. I really pride myself on making quality videos for new information that comes out on the Corvette C8, but today's video is more to cater to those who are really curious as to how big of a difference we have in options and what they really make when you're ordering this car. Of course, some options like the Z51 package speak for themselves, but others are tougher to narrow down, so I think this video could provide some help. But again, feel free to move along if this is not what you're looking for. Now, I do think the best way to illustrate the rest of this video is that we check out Chevrolet's build guide, so let's jump over to their website now. Alrighty, so here we are on Chevrolet's website, and before we get straight to, I was going to bring it up, but then I saw a few people mention in the comments that they had a difficult time finding it, and I think maybe they were either going to car or performance trying to find the C8. Of course, these are just the C7 generation and some Camaros. We actually have to go to upcoming, and then we'll find the 2020 Corvette. There was a banner that looked just like this on the front page, and you can click that, but it's probably fairly easy to miss. I just wanted to show the few out there that might be confused as where it's at, and then we can go to Build Coupe. It used to be the visualizer, now we have the coupe, the build out. We don't have the convertible yet. I'm guessing a few more months and that will be out, but we can build out the coupe. And my point being here that I want to show you for this video is you can absolutely build out the car for $59,995. There, of course, will be some taxes and probably dealer fees, but you can get an MSRP Corvette for under 60. I've seen people comment saying that's not possible. We can run through here really quick, and I will show you that that is completely possible to build this car out, and we'll take a quick look at what all we get. In terms of this, so obviously we only have the coupe. If we hit this little pricing here, shows you that we have $58,900 is the actual price of the car, and then they've included the destination. That's always there. So they've done a little bit of marketing to make sure they could say, hey, we've got a Corvette C8 under $60,000. I'm pretty sure everybody's aware of what they're doing there, but still incredible on value, because here's what we're going to take a look at. 1LT, we can't add the two other trims. They cost money, but if we build this out in a most basic version, these are all the things that you get. And there's some nice additions here that come just standard. The GT1 seats, I think people are going to find are just fine. It is Moulin leather, it's not the Napa, but this car is pretty well positioned even just in its base form. But the most important thing we want to take a look at is the mechanical feature, and that is you still get a 6.2 liter V8 even with the $60,000 car. You don't have to go 70, 80, 90. You can, for $59.95, you can absolutely get this same engine. Yes, you're less the 5 horsepower because with the higher model ends, you get the Z51. It adds 5 horsepower and 5 pound-feet of torque, but that's pretty negligible. And what I would argue is this is a bit right here, this 3 seconds with the Z51, under 3 seconds with Z51, is a bit of marketing. 5 horsepower is pretty negligible. And my guess is, and we've already heard Chevrolet say, it's very close in performance from non-Z51 to Z51. So this car is probably still going to be a sub 3-second car. It's just not enough gain. The extra traction you get from the mid-engine, you get with the base car. So that, and of course, the 8-speed dual clutch transmission that I just passed it, that comes in every iteration of the car, whether you're base, 60, or the most expensive 110. And then all of this all comes standard. I'm not going to go through all this interior, that kind of defeats the purpose, but all of this comes standard, and you can come check it out for $59,995. So if we move along, those are some really nice things you want to take a look at that you get, and then of course that compounds as we go into the higher trim levels. These are your free options in terms of colors. Arctic White all the way down to Zeus Bronze Metallic. Some of these are really nice. This Blade Silver Metallic, I think that car will look phenomenal. I think we've seen some of the pre-production builds, and the images I've seen look really nice with some black wheels, and even the Z51 package adding a little bit of that carbon flash, or true carbon if you want. But if you're ordering base car, you can get this color. Then we have some premium colors. A lot of people like this Rapid Blue. I think the Sebring Orange tint coat is amazing. I've seen it on a ZR1. Fantastic color combination, but we can't add any of that if we're looking. Then we get to our interior. We actually have 3 options. Jet Black, we can see that here. Sky Cool Gray, this is what I saw in person. It looks fantastic. A lot of people are worried about wear, what they've seen from the pre-production models. Remember, a lot of people have sat in that. They haven't done a great job of keeping it clean. I think the wear is very dramatic. You're never going to have the amount of wear that we're seeing unless your car is, I guess maybe you use it for Turo or something where you rent it out and it's used excessively. If you just use it yourself, I don't think your wear is ever going to be that bad. But these are your options, and these are all free. So you have Adrenaline Red, Sky Cool Gray, and Jet Black as our interiors. So the value is there. I mean, this is what you get. You do have some options. Unfortunately, once we get to packages, we can't add Z51. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. The Achilles heel of the C8 in terms of options is the wheels. I don't think the wheels, we can click here, I think, get a closer look at the wheels. These are your only option free. They're staggered 19/20 for the rear, and anything else is an upcharge. And pretty much every other option going forward, if I believe I'm correct, is an upcharge. GT1, bucket seats, we can't add any of this. So here you go. I mean, you can order the car. I know this is very base build out, but here you go. This car, very quick car, just as quick as pretty much the Z51. And we'll take a little bit look at that in a second, but you can absolutely order this car like this, and you do have a few options at your disposal to customize the car. It just opens up a lot more options as we build the car out. So what I'm going to do is we're going to open another tab here, and by using incognito, I believe it won't save my options. If I go in here to the build out, vehicles, upcoming, do this again, and we do a build, I think I get a brand new build option. Well, maybe not. I think it does. I think it's just saved it, but I think if we make some changes here, it won't make them over here. Hopefully not. If so, we'll adjust accordingly. But let's move on. So we obviously went the coupe. Now, this is where we'll talk a little bit about whether there's value or not. And I would say the 2LT, for most people, they say that's your best bargain. And you get everything we saw up here, all of this, plus all of this. And you're obviously adding some serious cost, because that's almost, it's a $60, $300 option that you're essentially adding to this vehicle to get all of this. However, the heads-up display, heated and ventilated seats, those are really nice, but the performance data recorder, that was a standalone option on the previous model, the C7. I think it was like $1,850. Now it's built into this package, so you got to add that in. These cameras, very nice, especially the curb view. That helps you make sure the low front of your car is protected as you're moving up to a curb. You can turn that on and get a image camera with your little infotainment system of where you're, getting close to the curb. So it just protects your car a little bit. I don't know if any of them are absolutely musts. If you're a big audio guy or gal, this is supposedly a system. I have not heard it in person, but will blow you away with how good it is for a vehicle. A lot of people have said they've heard it and really say that Bose has made a big step up for this vehicle. This was actually built out just for the Corvette. So these are your options. Again, not going to go too much, but again, without the Z51, you're getting the exact same mechanical performance, with this trim. However, we are actually going to bump up to the 3LT. This is the most expensive trim. Go ahead and add that. And we need to hit this. And this shows you everything we've looked at so far, plus you get the custom leather wrap interior. Now the Corvette I'm ordering is a 3LT for now. I've gone back and forth. The biggest reasons I've gone for 2LT is I sat in the GT2 seats and I love them. And it does upgrade your interior to Napa leather. It's just true leather. It's not the fake leather, and you do get a little bit carbon fiber trim. That includes everything, and then you've got a few other custom leather wrapped interior. I saw 3LT in person, and I loved it. This is my everyday driver, so I kind of wanted those, but it is a hefty price. I mean, we're adding, essentially almost, I think, $11,000 to just in trims, and it's not making the car any quicker off of the line. It's not changing anything. We have to add the Z51 for a little bit of change, for that extra horsepower. So, but let's move on. That gives you an idea. If we want a crazy, if we're building this out as expensive as possible, we've got to go with one of these. You have these two options as your most expensive. Let's go with Sebring Orange Tint Coat. And then I'm not a fan of full length dual racing stripes, but we'll go Carbon Flash. Again, the point of this video is to show you what you can get if you absolutely full to the tilt, choose every option possible, and it gets up to about 110,000, which is crazy, and you really have to kind of figure out which options make sense and don't. And then I think even if we go to these custom, we'll go with this custom interior. I think there's an upcharge for your custom interior if you do the microfiber inserts with the jet black over sky. Yeah, let's do that. Then here's your Z51. I'm not going to go into it too much. Here's what you get. I've said it before. If the only reason you needed this car was not to track it, you really don't need this. The biggest issue I have with not getting this is you can't get magnetic ride suspension. And again, that's for another video, but magnetic ride suspension is a huge, huge plus to the car. It gives you so much more dynamic driving. The magnetic dampers are incredible, and you cannot add that option without this option, and you can't add it later. So we are going to go ahead and add this Z51 because, again, this is the most expensive version of the car. Engine appearance package, that's the lighting and carbon fiber in the rear engine bay. Moving on. Trying to keep this video as short as possible. I think we're already well over 10 minutes. Let's move on. Come on. And then we are going to add, again, not a huge fan. These 5 Trident spoke wheels is what I was going to look at, the black version. But if we go down here, let's go ahead and click all these as we go. Here's your magnetic ride suspension, selective ride control right here. Gives you a little bit of information about it. We're going to go ahead and select it. That is a huge plus, and I would argue it almost makes getting the Z51 package worth it. You're almost paying $6,800 for this because realistically, for the average person that's not going to track the car, you don't need the Z51, but it is nice to have this. So that's one of the biggest probably push-pull fights you got to have to determine what is worth it for you or not. I think the front lift with memory is a really nice option. Most people buying this car probably have already had a sports car before, but if you have not, you don't realize how low these cars can be, and they can easily scrape. This, if you're going carbon, and we'll talk about that in a second, I feel like that's a must because it's going to help you from scraping the front of your car. It's going to be so much easier to scrape it than you realize. Then we do have to add some painted calipers. For orange, you really would want to stick with black, but for the ridiculous terms of this video, we're going to go ahead and add it because it is adding to the package price. Now, you don't have to do this, but here are accessory items, and you can add, these are a standalone kit of wheels, and I think the black probably do look the best, but I was going to do these wheels for my build out. I'm not going to, because at this price point, I'm going to save the money and I'm going to go ahead and just get an aftermarket set of wheels. That's what I think is a better play. These wheels look actually pretty good in person, but they wouldn't go with the build out I'm kind of doing necessarily. I guess they could if I was doing red, but I'm going to stick with black just because I've got some other black accents with the carbon flash. Moving on, so we'll add that there. We do want the black. And then we want, it's crazy some of these, what they want for, I mean, $225 with lug nuts. Go and find typical lug nuts just about anywhere for less than probably half that cost. But for the terms, again, for the purpose of this video, let's add the metallic hash marks. That's $245. Not a huge fan, but to each their own. Some people will like that. And then here's your roof packages. Because we're going most expensive, the most expensive option you can get is the carbon fiber dual roof. This gives you a bag to store the roof. You actually get two. You get, we'll go ahead and select that. You get the body color painted, and then you also get the carbon fiber roof dual, or I think you can choose transparent as well. Yeah, there's visible with the body color. So I guess it's actually transparent and carbon fiber. But man, $3,500, it's pretty steep. And then we go down, obviously you get the Z51. We're going to bump up to the high wing, and that's in carbon flash. I do think it looks pretty cool. I know some people think it looks gaudy. I think it looks pretty decent. And the nice thing is it's an accessory. You can add it after the fact if you're kind of on the fence about it, and you do get the Z51. It's actually a pretty simple add. You buy it through your Chevrolet dealer, and they'll install it using the same holes as your Z51 spoiler, the low spoiler. Then we get to less the Z51 package, pretty much the most expensive package, and that is the carbon fiber. This is true carbon fiber grounds. You get the appearance package. You get the front splitter and the side rocker panels, and they do look fantastic. Nobody's seen them really in person because it just hasn't been built out on any of the pre-production models. The only carbon fiber we've seen is the rear engine bay package, and it looks like very quality, high quality carbon fiber. So I don't think you'd have any problem. But if you're going to get this kit, it's expensive. We don't have to add any of those. We already have it. Here's a rear fascia protector. Oh, this is, why not? Let's go ahead and add it. We don't really need it, but it is an option, and we can go chrome exterior badge package because it costs money. Let's go to the front of the car. I think we can get a front view better for the rest of these to show you. Okay, so we can go shadow gray. These are your exterior accents for $9.95. You can go shadow gray. Then what we want, we're going to add these visible carbon fiber grill inserts. They look cool. I think this shows us a picture. It's this carbon fiber right here. Adds if you're doing all this carbon fiber. Why not at $2,000? I think it's ridiculous pricing, but it is genuine carbon fiber, and it'll probably look pretty nice. I think there's nothing wrong though with the carbon flash. Moving on, you don't want the carbon flash mirrors. If we're going to go most expensive, you want the true carbon fiber mirror caps. If you are doing like an in-between, which most people will, most people aren't actually going to choose the most expensive options possible, unless you just won the lottery. I would say the carbon fiber mirror caps are way better. These are way better price I mean, 1145 versus what you get for 2000. I'm totally sold on the mirror covers. I think they look way better, and it'll be nice in person. We can't add actually with the build we have right here of this custom car cover because they don't make one with the high wing and ground effects package. So make sure you're taking note of that. If I was to order this, it would try to take off, I believe, a bunch of stuff, or not. Usually it does. I don't know why it allowed me to do that. I know we can't take Corvette museum delivery. If I try to do that, it will try to take off because you can't get the high wing with museum delivery. It's one of their reasons. I can't tell you why. And then competition sport bucket seats. We'll go ahead and bump up to that. That's an upcharge. And honestly, this is going to be for very few people. I would highly recommend the GT2 seats over the competition unless you're pretty much track focused with this car you're buying. Then it makes sense, but the Napa leather with the GT2 seats, I think it looks better. I think it's nicer. It's a better material, but to each their own. Let's go ahead and add, I don't know what color. At this point, this build is kind of crazy looking, but we'll go ahead and add orange seat belts with the red. Looks terrible, but that's not the point. It's adding to the price. Of course, we want the carbon fiber trim for the interior. That's $1,500. Gives you some more carbon fiber. We can do a personalized interior plaque. And of course, we want the $1,450 premium travel bags. Why not? And there we have $109,000. So essentially almost 50 grand in options, and the car is not much quicker. I know it's got Z51, but really it comes down to aesthetics. And you will notice, I'm going to jump back to the other car, and there is a dramatic difference. I mean, you absolutely are going to, especially on the outside, you're going to see a difference. Now, is it worth $50,000? Again, there's a lot of, asterisks, I would say, with that statement, because you get a lot of cool things. PDR, you get upgraded seats and leather. There's a lot of options, but value for, especially if you're looking at a performance car that just can, do well for you. I know handling is going to be better with the Z51 package, but for the average consumer, this car right here, best dollar for dollar to spend over this. There's so much value here. And so that, I guess, is my argument. My argument is the amount of value you get out of this base C8. And so while there's tons of options, and I love that you can really customize this car into your own, some of them just don't make a lot of sense. It's, the magnetic ride, it's probably my toughest one to justify just because it costs so much, but it is a great option for the car. Z51 in itself, I don't think a lot of people need. Carbon fiber is just really expensive. You can add almost 10,000 or maybe more than 10,000 in carbon fiber just to this car. 10,000 in options just for carbon fiber. But if you have the money, aesthetically, the car is going to look very appealing. So that's something to take into consideration as you're kind of building out or speccing your car for the future. Maybe you already have. Maybe this video kind of helped you understand, make sure you're looking for value. Make sure you have an idea of what you're looking for with this car. But I know it was a long-winded video. I think we're at maybe almost 20 minutes, which is crazy. But I just wanted to get this video out there. I wanted to show you all exactly how big of a difference we could see from a $60,000 to a $110,000 car. And obviously, it's mostly aesthetics. You get some performance in there, but in terms of quickness, 0 to 60, your 8-speed transmission, it is very close. They're going to be almost identical. You're really going to have to go aftermarket to really kind of get that spread out there. So something to take into consideration. Thank you again so much for joining me on today's video. If you at all found it helpful, enjoyed it whatsoever, please think about hitting that like button. It truly supports my channel, and I can't express how much I appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, think about joining. We would absolutely love to have you join our community. As always, you all take care, and we'll see you next video.